So, Derek, you are the CEO of United Coin. You have your own businesses. You're an entrepreneur. You have a rags to riches, rags to success story. I want to talk about this with you. First of all, thank you for doing this, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot for having me here, Paul, man. It's really good to meet with you.
So you started United Coin, a blockchain company, a cryptocurrency, if you will. And although I want to talk about your success, your mindset, what drove you to get where you are, because you have an extremely interesting story. I want to talk a little bit about United Coin. How did this all start? How was United Coin born?
Well, it's a really interesting story. My co-founder was actually my first intern at my accounting company. His name is Hassan Lalou. He came in the door and his professor gave him an amazing recommendation. So the recommendation basically said, this is the smartest kid I've ever known. Anything that he does is going to be successful. So we decided at that day, I said to him, I'm going to work with you the rest of my life. So from that point forward, we worked together for the next 3 years doing financials, working on trading, working on types of algorithms for algorithmic trading. And it went really well for us, and we had some really great success. He decided to then go work at the largest bank in Africa at the derivatives trading desk. And while he was there, he developed some technical analysis skills, and I also got interested in cryptocurrencies. So we applied his technical analysis to cryptocurrencies, and we found out that it did much better than it did with Forex. And so that's why we started United Coin Exchange and eventually United Coin Cryptocurrency.
Actually, it's kind of funny because I used to do Forex, and that's how I started applying a technical analysis in cryptocurrencies.
Right.
Back then, it was very easy because it was just pure market psychology. But United Coin, what is United Coin? Because it's very unique. Tell us a few things about United Coin, how it works, what its mission is, where it's going.
Well, United Coin's mission is really to make blockchain and cryptocurrencies uh, easily acceptable. We like to call it mom friendly, if you will. We want to put a blockchain in every person's pocket. And we're able to do that with a lot of the partnerships we've been able to accomplish so far with our startup. And we think that we're going to be able to help people be able to use blockchains and cryptocurrencies in their day-to-day lives and actually use it just as they do regular money. And what this does is this allows them to be able to be owners both of the system and of the actual funds that they're using.
Yeah, and it's funny because you already have partnerships in place, success, if you will, before you even started. Can you share some of those with us and how they came about?
Well, definitely. The first was the partnership that we've gotten with Plug and Play. Plug and Play is the largest startup accelerator in the world. They actually kind of discovered us earlier this year in March. We were accepted to the Plug and Play Accelerator in Mexico, and we really hit it off with the director there and a lot of the startups there. And we were able to implement our blockchain technology and advise a lot of the companies on how they can use blockchain technology with their startups. As a result, we're able to work with Plug and Play now in Africa, and this is going to allow us to be able to create what we like to call the Silicon Valley of Africa, which will allow startups in Africa and African countries to have access to the same blockchain technology, which will allow them to be able to achieve their digitization efforts that they have for their own countries, from medical health and health records to transportation to their finances to even voting. All aspects of the countries can be improved, if you will, with blockchain technology.
And your other partnership, is there something you can talk to us about at this point?
Yes, there's another partnership that we're working with right now with the wireless phone company. Work with the wireless phone company to actually bring and to allow for free cell phone service by allowing people to be able to answer surveys in their phones and also be able to mine cryptocurrencies with their phones. And they'll be able to earn units in cryptocurrencies, which they can then use to pay their cell phone bill and even load to a MasterCard debit card, which they can then use to buy coffee or use at their favorite stores.
Now, these are partnerships some ICOs and companies can only dream of. This is like the kind of news they want after the ICO is done. And you haven't even started yours yet. And you are starting an IMO. Maybe we should clarify this just for the people watching, what the difference between an ICO and an IMO and why.
Okay, so the difference between an ICO and an IMO is mainly that an ICO, anyone can join. For an IMO, you have to be a member first. And so for United Coin, in order to participate in our token sale, you have to be a member first. A lot of people are like, why did you do that? The reason why is because there's a lot of regulation and securities laws in place in a lot of the countries that we want to provide services. And so in order to provide services to all of the members there, not just the individuals who hold cryptocurrency, but even those who hold dollars and want to use cryptocurrencies, you have to be regulated and compliant. And so that's what we're doing, is we're making sure we're regulated and compliant, and that allows us to be able to provide services to everyone worldwide.
And you are approved by the SEC.
Yes, we're signed with the SEC for a Regulation D offering, a Regulation S offering, and we're completing the filing right now for a Regulation CF offering, which is similar to like a crowdfunding, if you will, which will allow the regular person to be able to invest with us.
Amazing. Excellent. Now, I just want to talk a little bit about you, Derek, and I want to get back to United Coin and its advisors and team members, because everybody is amazing. But I want to talk a little bit about Derek. Who is Derek? Actually, if I met you in high school, if I met Derek in high school, who was he?
So Derek in high school, actually, my teachers used to call me BMOC, the big man on campus, actually. I played 4 different sports. I played football, basketball, I ran track, and I played volleyball. I was top 5% in my class. I was a scholar athlete. I was a Silver Knight nominee, which is when you are good in both extracurriculars and a scholar athlete. And I also was nominated for the Gatorade Athlete of the Year my senior year.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so you're into athletics ever since you were young. Is that what taught you how to be competitive and a team member as well? Because I noticed you do sports both solo, which teaches you have to rely on yourself, but also sports part of a team. And that's just, that tells me a lot about you, because you can tell a lot about a person's character with what sports they do, who their friends are, and so forth. But what did you study and what happened? Tell me a little bit about your life.
So after high school, I actually went to the Air Force Academy. The Air Force Academy, if not many people know about it outside the United States, but it's actually the hardest college to get into in the world. You have to be at a high level physically, as well as in your academics, and you also have to have a high IQ and high astuteness, if you will.
What's your
I
IQ?
actually hold I actually hold the record at the Air Force Academy for maxing the physical fitness test the first time I ever took it. I ended up leaving there though.
Okay.
I left the Air Force Academy after my first year. After I left the Air Force Academy my first year, I went to Florida International University, where I spent a year there kind of as a transition year, if you will, to kind of pick up my credits and to learn a little bit more. There I lived in what they call the apartment area. While I was there, I learned a lot about what it was like being a regular person, if you will, what it was like having to get a job of your own, being able to take care of yourself. When you're in the military, they do a lot of that for you. So you have to learn how to take care of yourself. And it was good to have a lot of that discipline from the military at that time. After that, I went to the University of Miami, but something interesting happened at this point. When I went to the University of Miami, I actually became homeless. I didn't have the ability to go both to school and pay for school, because if you don't know, the University of Miami is very expensive. I didn't have the ability to be able to pay for school and also pay for a home. So I ended up living in my car. I lived in my Dodge Neon for about 6 months. And then after that, I ended up living on the couch of one of my friend's houses. His name was Martin Meerman, Marty. He was a really interesting young man. He had a child of his own, and same age as I was. We went to high school together. Was about to get married, and was taking care of this entire family and his mother by himself. And it was amazing to see a man who was working so hard, who was the same age as I was. And so I decided, while sleeping on his couch for about 6 months, that I was going to learn from this individual who was the same age as I was, and I was going to do whatever it took, because I didn't have any kids. I only had myself. So I kind of picked myself up at that time, decided that I was going to apply to be what's called a resident assistant. over at the University of Miami. When you become a resident assistant at the University of Miami, you basically take care of the apartment area or the dorm area there, but they also give you free housing. So what I did was I went there and I used what I knew from the military. I went there, I wore a suit, made sure that I was really clean, made sure that I was astute, and I was very focused in all of my interviews. And one thing that they said when I got there was, "You're the only person that wore a suit."
Wow.
So I guess that discipline and that understanding of knowing exactly how to present yourself did a lot for me. And so I ended up becoming the resident assistant. I had a place to live for a year. And by having that place to live for a year, I was able to start my own company. I started a personal training company, and I ended up training athletes. A lot of people that were in my dorm or in my apartment area were football players. So as a result, I ended up working out with them, started training some professional athletes after I left college. And then I got in a really bad car accident. When I got in the bad car accident, I could no longer lift weights the same way. So since I couldn't lift weights the same way, I ended up using my degree, which was in finance, and started my own accounting firm. And so when I started my own accounting firm, I actually had my first client was a Moroccan taxi driver. And this Moroccan taxi driver explained to me the issues that Moroccans had with sending money back and forth home.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they were talking to me about the issues that they were having with their own taxes, their own finances. They also expressed to me that there was no one who understood how to do taxes for a taxi driver. And so I ended up from that first encounter working with all of his friends that were taxi drivers, all of the individuals that were Moroccans. That spread out, and only by word of mouth. We went from the first year only having 35 clients to now we have over 500 clients. We have 5 offices nationwide. And from there, we've done pretty well. And in 2013, when I was opening up my office in California, I was dropping off my wife at the bank. And on my way home, I heard about this digital currency called Bitcoin that does its own accounting. And I realized at that very moment, I'm about to get put out of business. So I sat on the side of the road listening to NPR for 2.5 hours about Bitcoin. I went home and I immediately downloaded Bitcoin QT, the wallet, and I started trying to mine, started trying to trade, doing everything I could to get Bitcoin. And it was not an easy experience. I do not have a developer background. I put together some computers when I was younger, so I did pretty well with mining. But when it came to the development aspect, putting things in wallets, so on and so forth, there was a big learning curve there. And when I found out that my mom would not accept Bitcoin from me because she would not touch a public address or a private key, I realized at that moment the problem for mass adoption with cryptocurrencies is that moms will not accept it. When moms accept it, that's when we'll have mass adoption. And that's pretty much how we got to United Coin.
Wow. So basically, you realize that success doesn't rest. If you stop, you will lose your position. That's actually one of the rules to success. You realize that you have to keep it simple, KISS, if you will, keeping it super simple, keep it simple, stupid, whichever one. You found a niche that you serve. You have free you have free taxis all year round to go wherever you want. Start an account with your accounting firm. I'd say that's very impressive. Tell me, Derek, talking about all these things, what is success to you? What is success? Because everyone defines success in a different way. What does success mean to you?
To be honest, I think success to me is the ability to spend time with your loved ones when you want to.
Yeah. So
And
freedom.
freedom, I've learned throughout my life. I mean, my father worked very hard, very successful. But when we were younger, we didn't get to spend that much time together. He would make sure that he made it to all the games. He made it to all the matches, to all the meets. But we didn't spend that much time together because he was always out of town. He was always working. He's a former state senator. So literally he lived in a different city.
Yeah.
So as a result, I realized that even though he was extremely successful to most people's standards, it wasn't considered success to me because he could not leave in the middle of the week when he wanted to, come to the house, spend time with his family, and then go back to work. He had to spend the entire week up there, which was Tallahassee at the time. And so to me, being able to have that little bit of freedom doesn't really matter how much money you make.
So they say you need to fail in order to succeed in life and business. Have you had failures, and how do you handle your failures, Derek?
Well, I think I handle them pretty well. I think I've been told all my life, when you fall down, you got to get right back up. Some major failures I've had in my life, I'd say like the first one that I had was when I was in college. I was working at a Baptist hospital, great hospital. They do great work. At the time, I was younger, so I may have been a different Derek, if you will. But when I was working there, I was a temp. That's basically a temporary employee. And so I worked first in the filing area. So I would basically file very simple stuff, shred paper. And from there, I then went into, they saw that I had a lot of, I guess, appeal. I could do better than what I was doing. So they put me in other places. So I started working in the health department where I would code in people's benefits. And so there I basically coded in the benefits for everyone that worked at Baptist. We're talking about tens of thousands of people. And so after I coded in everyone's benefits, put together benefit packages for them for, again, tens of thousands of people, did all this work, I had an evaluation at the end of the year. So at the end of the year, I had the evaluation, and I remember her name. I think it was Miss Knight, was my evaluator, and she goes, "Derek, we just want to say that you've done a great job here, but the work that you did, you should have done it much faster, and you should have done it much better." And I go, that's excellent. I thank you very much for that information. I now understand I can't work for anybody. I'm not a person that can just have a job.
Yeah.
Okay. I need to be an entrepreneur. I need to be a person that knows that how much work I'm putting in is worth it. I know the amount of work that I'm doing. And so that right there helped me begin my first business as a personal trainer. My second failure, I would say, was as a personal trainer when I got into my car accident. Now, some might not say that that's a failure because it really wasn't of my own decision, I guess, of my own accord. I guess maybe it could have been my driving, but they found out that it was reckless driving by a construction worker. But it was definitely a holdback. And that holdback taught me a lot about myself personally, taught me a lot about friends, taught me a lot about how people react when you need them. And it made me a little bit more independent. I think it helped me also realize how important health is and how important education is when you don't have your health. It's very important to have something to fall back on. And it was interesting that I was able to fall back on my finance degree. My dad actually told me when I was growing up, he said, "Derek, you're amazing at sports, but make sure you use that same enthusiasm that you do with sports in the classroom, because you're going to need to use that enthusiasm for something that you may not want to do one day." And so I realized that at first when I was at Baptist Hospital, I was using that enthusiasm for something I didn't want to do. So I decided I'm going to use my enthusiasm for things I want to do. And now I'm glad that I was able to do that.
Great. So preparation meets opportunity is equivalent of luck. So I'd say you were quite lucky in your failures as well. I do want to ask you something, man. They say, how they say you find out who your real friends are in hardships. I disagree with that. I really do. I think you find out how human and how much humanity there is when you have your problems, not who your real friends are. Because you'll notice that even enemies might help you, and friends that were actually friends were not friends at all. But you see what they're like here, And I think that's something that, anyway, just my little two satoshis, if you will. Do you believe anyone? If I don't get a piece out there, I won't be able to code. Do you think anybody can succeed in life?
Yes, without a doubt. A lot of people don't know the history of my family growing up. My dad grew up in Mississippi. Mississippi is not an easy place to grow up. He came from Mississippi and became a Florida state senator. But during our time growing up, we lived in a dorm room at the University of Miami. Me, my mother, my brother, and myself. 4 people in a one bed. And I remember to this day eating nothing but hot dogs and baked beans and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for years. And and even ramen noodles. I remember ramen noodles being like a big deal. You know, like those packets, those little salt packets were a big deal for us when we were younger. And so to see my dad come from that, and then even myself after being homeless for a while, then being able to come to success, I'm convinced. I'm convinced anybody can do it. I've experienced it myself in my own life. I think that the biggest thing that people struggle with is the fear of failure.
Mm.
People are afraid to fail, whereas I may have been taught or I may have learned that you have to fail to succeed. My dad used to tell me all the time, nobody can tell you no 7 times. So if nobody can tell you no 7 times, that means you have to fail 6 times in order to succeed.
Oh, that's actually nice. I like that. No one can tell you no 7 times. We'll make a note of that.
I shouldn't be telling everybody that.
Hey, so do you think anybody can succeed in cryptocurrency or on blockchain though?
I think that anyone can, yes. I think that anyone can. And there's a learning curve. United Coin is doing its best, as well as a lot of other good companies out there, to reduce this learning curve.
Mhm.
I think that in the future, blockchain and cryptocurrencies may be one of the major means of success for individuals. The reason why I say this is right now we are in a technological revolution. Databases are being changed to blockchains, servers are being changed to blockchains, clouds are being changed to blockchains. Blockchains are being put on clouds. I mean, it's a wonderful world that we live in right now, and there's opportunity everywhere. Just to this opportunity, you must educate yourself. You
Yeah.
must educate yourself. And so those who are willing to educate themselves, willing to go online, willing to do the work to learn about blockchain technology, they are going to be at the forefront of this. Less than 1,000th of the population of the world has a Bitcoin wallet. We're
Wow.
still in the very beginning of this. We're still in the very beginning of this.
So, do you believe there's? Well, I know the answer, but do you believe there are? Tell me some sacrifices that are usually needed to be made in order to succeed. Did you have to sacrifice friends, town, moving away, losing people in order to achieve and become who you became?
I would, you know, time is the biggest sacrifice. You know, you're going to give up time with family and friends. That's going to happen sometimes. Sometimes you're going to lose some friends and some friends. Sometimes you might even lose some contacts with family. You know, not everybody is always going to agree with the decisions that you make in life, and that's just the way it is. Um, I would say that besides that, you really have to sacrifice your own ideals. You have to sacrifice what you think is right all the time, because you must understand that as human beings, we're fallible. So you must be willing to question yourself. And what that does is that means that you have to sacrifice your ego. You have to sacrifice being an individual, an I, if you will. And you have to think we. And by doing that, you kind of sacrifice individuality in some way, but at the same time, you gain individuality, because there's not many people who think we. There's not many people who think of helping people all the time. So you then get to develop who you truly are. You get to actually give to people. You actually get to give of your time. You actually get to learn how to be compassionate, how to be nice, how to be kind, the things that are necessary in this world. And the only way you ever gain that is by completely sacrificing who you are.
You know, there's an amazing African proverb. It says, if you want to get somewhere fast, go alone. If you want to get far, go together. And of course, the video had to pause
Best
right
way to say
there.
it.
As soon as the video just had to pause and cut right there, you know? So you're just looking at me like this, as if I just said the stupidest thing in my life. If you're watching this, we have a bad connection, by the way, so you're going to have to make do with it. I'm going to leave this in there, though, because it just makes for good humor. Derek, do you think mentors are important in life, and did you have any mentors?
I do think mentors are important. I think I was extremely lucky. My dad has probably been my mentor. Um, he is an exceptional man. I've learned a lot from him. His ability to be able to deal with struggle, his ability to deal with people, his ability to translate extremely complex subjects into simple jargon and vernacular for the layman is amazing. And I think I've learned a lot from that. He started mentoring me when I was a child. When I was younger, my penalties or my punishments, first when I was in middle school, was to read the Bible cover to cover.
Oh, wow.
So that happened 3 times in middle school. So I read the Bible cover to cover 3 times before I was 13. All right.
Old Testament, New Testament, or both?
Pardon me?
Old Testament, New Testament, or both?
Both, with book reports.
Oh, wow.
3 times. 3 times before 13. Changes you, man. It makes you a different person.
I've read it once, but not all together.
Yeah. I mean, page 1 to page like 1,516,
Wow.
like cover to cover. I mean, even through numbers, like questions on numbers and the number. And I mean, how many were in this tribe? How many were in that tribe? Like before 13, 3 times, man. Okay. So that explains both who I was and who my father was, if you will, at that age. At the age of 12, my punishment was reading Think and Grow Rich. He made me read that and do a book report on it. After that, my next punishment was How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
Very good
so
books.
This is how my father punished me. Yeah, this is how my father punished me as a child, was by teaching me to be a better person, teaching me how to use the skills that I had, because usually when I got in trouble, it was because I was talking too much. It was because I had already finished my work and I was bored, so I was talking in class, or I had already decided I'm going to be in the corner of the room and play basketball with the trash can because I finished homework for the next 2 weeks. You know, so there's nothing for me to do. So my dad said, I'm going to give you something.
Bring it on. I don't care. I'm bored anyway, man. But
so my dad gave me stuff to do. Yeah.
So punishments, so you can argue these punishments were actually rewards. It's funny because I actually work with Ben Gay III. He was mentored by Napoleon Hill. They were actually friends. Napoleon Hill was hired by Holiday Magic as his mentor. And it's funny because Ben told me this story where he was in the living room. And Dr. Hill was coming by the house. So they left a book of Think and Grow Rich on the table. And he said, oh, look, Dr. Hill, your book, Think and Grow Rich. How does it feel to have the second most sold book after the Bible, right? Because back then they were saying that, that it was the second most distributed book in the world. And Dr. Hill answered, second most sold book in the world, least read book in the world.
Wow.
And if you really think about it, it makes sense. So you actually read that. But here's an interesting question now. Do you believe that these punishments actually made you not want to read and were counterproductive? I'll tell you why I'm asking after. Or did it increase your love for reading or give you any benefits? I need to know this.
So it's interesting. And my dad also, and my dad's got like all these little sayings. I don't know if they're from him or his father, because my grandfather's pretty corny. But he says, if I'm your friend before you turn 24, I may not have done a good job. And I realized at the age of 24 what my dad had done when I was younger. And so, I mean, I thank them immensely for it, because I was absolutely in a different mindset than my peers as a result of those.
Yeah.
In life, it actually made me love reading. My dad, when I was younger, he again, I look at him as a mentor because of the things that he taught me when I was younger. He used to always do these little DVDs or these little tapes where you would learn how to memorize things better, or you learn how to have speed reading. And so when he was done with the tape, for my punishment, I'd get the tape. so so I had memorization. I had speed reading as a kid, self-hypnosis, Tony Robbins tapes. These were my punishments. I had to make book reports on these things as a child. And so when I realized at 24 that I could read 600 words a minute, I could sometimes 750 words a minute
Wow.
and retain all the information, while all of my friends took 4 hours to read the same information I read in 30 minutes. That's when I realized, okay, I now understand what all of that stuff was. I understand what all of those quote unquote punishments were. They were rewards. They
Right.
were showing me there is a way to teach yourself to be better so that you can do more in less time, which will give you freedom. He learned it at 40 years old. He taught me at 12. So
Right.
now I'm almost 40 years old, or I'm going towards 40. I'm not almost 40, but I'm going towards 40. And I know these freedom techniques. I know these ways to make my time more valuable, to make it expand, if you will. And so now I can share those techniques with other people. I have more freedom. And now this makes my father more successful because he was able to share those experiences. And now success can be passed on.
That is amazing, man. The reason I was asking is because I'm not going to mention who, but this expert, if you will, he was saying that you should reward you shouldn't punish the kids by giving them things, because it trains them not to like these things after. And I think it depends on the individual, and I think it
Yeah.
depends on how you grow up. So I always had a little. Even though I respect this person as an expert, as a coach, as a guru, whatever you want to call him, I really didn't agree with that part. So let me ask you this. Do you have any habits and morning rituals? And I don't mean morning rituals as in brushing your teeth, but anything you do as in a way you do it. I can't think of the word right now, but you're doing it for a reason. You're all these books I
Definitely.
read are just don't help with some words sometimes. Consciously, okay.
Yeah. So actually, I do have a morning ritual. I've been doing this for a few years, and I think that it's probably the best thing for anyone. And it probably comes from my days of being a personal trainer too, but it's pretty easy. First thing I do when I wake up in the morning is I pray. Thank God that I'm alive. Got another day, so I'm going to do the best that I can with it. After that, I then go into meditation. I do meditation. Usually, I try to get an hour in. Depending on where I am, sometimes maybe it'll be less, if I'm jet lagged or something. But usually, I try to get an hour of meditation. After the hour of meditation, I do what's called the rites. It's from this book called The Secrets of the Fountain of Youth. It's 5 exercises that were done by Tibetan monks, and they're exercises that are used to massage your inner organs and your endocrine system and your lymph nodes, and to help you stay healthy and young. After that, I do 100 push-ups, 100 squats, 100 jumping jacks, and 100 sit-ups. And then after that, I take a shower. That's my morning routine. The reason why I do that is because I tell myself health before wealth. no matter what, in order to be able to be successful, you have to be healthy. If I want to be able to spend my money, I got to be alive to be able to use it. And I want to be able to, and I really like shoes. So you got to be able to walk in order to be able to wear your shoes. So I really like taking care of myself. And I think that is important because I've learned over time that if you take care of your body, it helps take care of your brain. And if you take care of your brain, it helps take care of your business. And
Mhm.
so it's all together.
Nice. I'm gonna have to ask you for either that book or a seminar on that Tibet thing for the massage techniques and everything like that. Tell me, what kind of questions do you wish people asked you?
I wish they would ask me, um, why do I brush my teeth the way I do?
How do you brush
It
your
was
teeth?
very interesting that you said the thing about brushing your teeth. When I brush my teeth, I focus. And people are like, why do you focus when you brush your teeth? And I tell them, because if I'll focus when I brush my teeth, that means I'll focus when I'll do anything. It's a technique that's used by the military and it's used by even by martial artists sometimes in order to get you to be able to focus on anything at any point whenever you feel like it. And so I focus when I brush my teeth. It's the first thing I do as an activity outside of my morning rites. I make sure I focus on every tooth I brush. And so as a result, I know every member of United Coin. I know all of our team members. I know the things they like. I know the things they don't like. I treat people with compassion and kindness because I focus on them.
That is amazing. I'm gonna start doing that tonight.
My wife thinks it's so weird.
It's amazing, man. It's wow. So let's move on to United Coin for now. Okay, you said you mentioned the team members, your advisors are interested in everything. You have some very talented, if you will, team members and advisors. Do you want to tell me a few things about them, who they are, and how are they working for United Coin?
Well, let me first go into the team members. Our co-founders are amazing. Hassan Lalu, he worked at the largest derivatives trading desk in Africa. We use his technical analysis for our trading. He's an amazing trader. He's a very good man as well, a really good person. Rita El Kasri, she worked at IBM at the largest blockchain project between 7 of the largest banks in Europe. An excellent young lady, just a brilliant mind when it comes to operations and the application of blockchain technology. She's also very pleasant. Raleigh, really, really, really amazing young man. 21 years old, understands how to code Ethereum, Bitcoin, Byzantine fault tolerance. I mean, like the guy's amazing, and he's just brilliant. I call him our boy wonder. I really, really enjoy working with him, designing blockchain technology with him. Very smart young man. Besides that, our advisors, my father's an advisor, former state senator. We also have the individuals that worked with him to start Great Florida Bank. Great Florida Bank was bought and sold in Florida, and it holds the record in the United States for getting a newly formed bank to $1 billion in assets the fastest.
Wow.
The record when they started was 5 years. They did it in 18 months. So the former CEO of that bank is an advisor. The former COO of that bank is an advisor. The former CTO of that bank is an advisor. The audit, my father was on the audit committee of that of their board. So he's an advisor. We have Bintu Coker, who is the head of financial crimes for Standard Chartered Bank in Gambia. She helps us with our KYC and our AML. We have Jean Castleberry, former vice president of SunTrust. We have Keith and Eustacia Jones. They work with the Department of Defense about protecting Army bases from being hacked. They
Wow.
help us with our security and IT. Yeah.
Is your coin secure?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
So those are our advisors, and we also have the director of Plug and Play Mexico, Javier Garcia. He's also one of our advisors, and we have some other great advisors, but those are some of the ones I'd like to highlight right
Yeah. You also have a new team member and advisor. I don't know if we should announce it here.
Yeah, we definitely, if you like to, we'd like to say thank you to Paul DeMarcatel coming on board as an advisor. Thank you very much, man. We look forward to your expertise, helping us with our social media presence, our public relations. You're amazing at what you do. We've been looking at your videos, looking at how you've been coming into the blockchain and cryptocurrency space with a fire, if you will. And we look forward to working with you, man.
Yeah, looking forward to working with you guys too. I was very impressed when we met, and I met everyone, and it's looking forward to good times. So since I'm going to be announcing this on all my social media and everything as well, we may as well make it public. So people are like, oh, that's why it was talking about United Coin because he was working. No, just to say, yeah, I'm working. Okay, so what is United Coin want to accomplish? What's their main goal, if you will, or purpose?
The main goal of United Coin is mass adoption of cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology. Right now, our idea is blockchain in every pocket, and we're working with the wireless company in order to do that. Once we have that blockchain in every pocket, it'll be much easier to get people to use blockchain, decentralized applications, to use cryptocurrencies because they'll already have blockchains and not even know it. So that's what we're working on right now, and we're pretty sure that we're going to be able to be successful with it, Lord willing.
And your ultimate vision, what is your actual vision? Yeah.
Okay, the ultimate vision for United Coin is cryptocurrency for everyone. We want cryptocurrency to be the main currency for individuals around the world. There's really no need for traditional currency to move the way that it does now. It can be held in vaults, and it can be tokenized, and it can allow people to be able to transact with it easily, much more freely, and that benefits businesses and banks just as much as it benefits the individual. And so as a result, that's what we're aiming for, and we're working with institutions and individuals to make this happen.
Nice. Is there anything else you would like to add or tell anybody watching this?
Really, the only thing I'd like to say is follow your dreams, man. We're given those dreams for a reason. They're important to not just you, but to everyone around you. You have no idea whether or not the idea that you have is going to change the world and it's going to fix lives for millions of people. A lot of people don't know if your idea changed the lives for 100 people, you have done an amazing job. If the idea that you have changes the life for one person, that is your life, you have done an amazing job. It's important for you to take care of yourself as well as others, and it is important for you to know that you were put here for a reason. No one here is just to be by the wayside, if you will. We are all here for a reason.
Derek, thank you so much for doing this. We really appreciate it. I forgot to push record. No, I'm just kidding. We got it, man. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching, guys. And I will see you next time. And until next time, as always, keep succeeding.
Blessings. Yes, we coin.
United Coin. Yes, we coin.